Perhaps we might just start with Rory Laird. We've just seen his re-sign for another year. If you can sum up his unbelievable contribution to the club today.
Oh, well, I think we were talking about it before. There's only been, I think, 4 players that have been 16 years plus. So he's done well as a rookie to do what he's done. You know, dual best and fairest winner, and even what he's done over the last few years too. To dominant midfielder to go back and play in the back line and been exceptionally strong down there for us, and was a major reason that we were so clean back there and able to exit so well last year. And the support he gives the younger players like Maxi Michaelini and those boys as well has just been something he's done his whole career, but it's been great. He's one of the favourites amongst the group, so we're all pretty happy to see he got signed up for another year.
What does that do for young players who come in, or maybe draftees or rookies who are not necessarily high picks, to look at someone like that who's made such a career out of sheer willpower almost?
Yeah, well, I think we've had a good record with that over the journey. If you look at it, our whole history, we've had rookies that have gone on to be exceptional players here. And we always say it as coaches, whether you're in the top 10 or whether you're the last one pick as a rookie, you're here. So you've all got the same opportunity to play one game or play 300.
What's been the impact of Rory off the field, especially over the last couple of years when he has gone from prolific midfielder to half to in the back line? Yeah,
well, first of all, it's about buy-in and selflessness. So it's not easy for any midfielder when they've been a midfielder over a journey and they go either forward or back. You played a whole career in a certain position, but you talk to Jack Homsch, the way he went back there straight away, was certainly engaged and involved in meetings and education and development for the younger ones. That's a sign that you know that you've got a player it's all about team and not himself.
Given that the talent you have got in the back line, you mentioned a few years, is it a testament that he's managed to hold his spot for so long in the side?
Yeah, well, he's a pretty good player in the back line before he went to the midfield as well, so I guess it's not foreign to him, but the beauty with us now is we've got some young players with talent that are coming through as well, so there's always, every year you've got to rock up and have a pretty good pre-season and be ready to go at round one, because there's certainly plenty of pressure which has been accelerated over the last few years with some of the early draft picks and the trades that we've had.
Are you happy with that hit out there today, Scott?
Sorry?
Are you happy with that hit out there today?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The last session before the weekend off, you want a good hit out, you want the boys to hit in, which they did. I thought it was quite physical today. At the same time, you sort of got your fingers crossed that nothing happens, which it did today, so that was great that we didn't have any more niggles. But yeah, it was a really good hit out for them. It's been a really solid pre-season, with no doubt that everyone says it, but we are a bit more mature. We are a little bit more, fitter after 4 or 5 or 6 pre-seasons rather than 2 or 3 when we were certainly a young list 2 or 3 years ago. And there's been players that have developed that are looking better than what they did 12 months ago.
You've been here for a little bit now, Scott. Is the competition for spots the fiercest you've seen it now? Like, it looks like there's going to be a couple of guys who are going to be quite unlucky come round one.
Yeah, certainly in that way. Like I said, when you're one of the youngest lists in the competition and you go to, I don't know what we are now, would be top 6 maybe? A bit above average anyway in terms of our age and experience. Yeah, there's pressure that comes on, and usually with that pressure, that increases the internal competition. It increases training. People are doing the right thing nearly all the time. You're not just getting gifted games, you've got to earn the games, and that's where the depth really accelerates and where it gets better for each club.
How much is the way that, I know we kind of spoke a fair bit about it, the way the last season ended, how much has that driven the group from a playing, the playing group?
There's no doubt there's a driving factor. We didn't give it our best shot. I mean, we're going over old ground there, but you can see it from the day the boys come back. It's not about now. It's too late to change things now. It's the work that they've done the first pre-season session they've got back, and probably the month before they even got back here. The boys came back in good shape, and like I said, I reckon it's been the strongest pre-season we've had, but the proof will be in the pudding over the first 3 or 4 weeks.
So because you've been part of a team that has had that disappointment in September, how do you come back and move on from go a step forward? Do you review it much? How do you kind of do it?
Yeah, well, it's just about you're not happy where you're at. You always want to improve. So look, even if you go to the other end, you go to Brisbane, they have to improve. That's what should be driving them. They've got a lot of young players that are still talented, but they can get to another level. And older players, what you want to do is you want to go into every year thinking it can be your best year, no matter how old you are. If you just go into a year trying to tread water or play like you did last year, that's generally where you fall away. So I would say that our players that we have on this list, they're certainly proud players and they're driven to be better than what they are and what they were last year.
How about the coaches? Do you change much from your end as coaches? When you look at how there? You know, have you done anything majorly different as coach?
Yeah, I wouldn't say majorly different, but every year there's been modifications each year that I've been here. You're trying to get better, whether it's contest, whether it's offence, whether it's defence. We're looking at personnel. Can we add anything to our team externally, or how can we add it with players we've got here? Like you've seen the Braden Cook transformation when he's gone more back in the pre-season. So we're always looking for things to get better.
Have you noticed any trends, be it in the pre-season games or maybe last night with rule changes, or how maybe the game could evolve a little bit this year?
Yeah, the rule changes are probably more interesting. Now that there's only really that one proper hit out in the pre-season, it's hard to get a gauge, and even that last hit out, teams aren't at full strength. So this first week, there's obviously only a handful of games as well, so it's probably, you've got to see about a month of football before you start to really see the trends and what people are doing differently. Like you talk about Papley last night, is that the way to go? Well, maybe it was only the first 1 or 2 rounds that Sydney do that, and they do something different with that. We call it the 23rd player. So let's wait for another month and we'll start to identify trends.
And I'm not sure if you'll share it with us, but do you have an idea yet of how you might, as a group, use that spot?
We've probably got 2 or 3 different ideas at the moment. Like I said, we've had a bit of an opportunity to have a look at that, but once again, there's going to be changes in our team. There'll be players in and out, so you might have to change. Don't want to call it that 23rd, but that's that sub player from last year. You might have to modify the player that's used in that position.
Does it give you some flexibility? You've got a few guys in your rehab group or whatever coming back from soft tissue. Does it give you some flexibility in terms of managing guys' minutes in game, or is it a zero risk policy?
Well, it should be zero risk policy anyway, but it does give you that opportunity. And that's where we're at the moment. Like, we'll probably get to that. You probably ask a question about our boys that are in rehab, but they're all ready to go just about for round 1, besides the major injuries to the 2 boys with Keeney and DC. But the other boys are on target. They had a really good hit out today. They've got their Ks in their legs. So now it's just a matter of how many do you take all into one game? Do you manage 1 or 2 of them, or being mindful that we've got 2 6-day turnarounds early in the first 3 weeks?
So with Archie and Peatling, the rehab group today, does that mean they're maybe just slightly bit further back, maybe?
No. They joined in training early in a few of the drills and then came out. Now, we certainly we took them out of the contact to get their running up more so today, but we're really happy where they're at and they should be fine next week.
Can you play Toby Morris? Obviously had a very good pre-season so far. Can you play him in the same team as a Ruck, Memphis, McAndrew, or Rob, Riley Thilthorpe, Darcy Fogarty, Taylor Walker? Is that too tall?
Yeah, look, you can do it, but once again, is that modified minutes maybe for one of them? A little bit more, like we said about Sydney with Papley. So we'll have a look at that. That's something we've been trying to work through the pre-season.
So just in that, how big of a kind of factor is not exposing Riley to Ruck, because you want to keep him as a forward. Also seems at the moment, the way people are jumping into each other now, there is that kind of potential more for the PCL injury.
Yeah, I mean, there'll still be a few ruckmen that will fake the jump too and step around. It's an interesting question with Riley, because Riley was also, during these conversations early last year, he was pretty important when he went into the ruck for us. So he gave us a different look. So we know that he can do that. He's obviously a very good forward, All-Australian forward. But we'll keep an eye on that. I'd say whatever we do round 1 may not be the same thing we do in round 8 or round 10.
Can I get your thoughts on the ruck battle today? Obviously, the rule changes. I mean, from the look of it, it looks like McAndrew bested Riley a little bit in the ruck. Is that what you thought as coaches? Yeah,
well, Lockie's had the opportunity the last 2 weeks, to play, but Riley as well. Yeah, the rule is different. It's one where it's nearly like the AFL is slightly modifying or changing a little bit as we go along as well. It's interesting when you take the rule out initially because of PCLs, and then you bring it back in, and it's just PCL City in a way. So it'll be really interesting where we are in 12 months' time, whether that's still in place or there's any modifications in the actual rule.
Do you think ruckmen like Riley have been hard done by with a rule like this? They can't use their bodies much as they
Yeah, well, it's only a point in time too. I mean, centre bounces are pretty important, we know that, there's field position, but there's a lot of other things that go into a game. And maybe, look, there's been so many footballers over the journey that they've got their strengths and they've got other areas that other players might have an advantage over, but how do you nullify your opponent in that point? And over the course of the journey, over Rob's journey, he's been terrific in that. Like his ability to hit in, to follow up, when he's at his best, he's taking marks around the ground as well. So it's not just always about the centre bounce.
What have you made of Lockie's pre-season though? I mean, he's very good around the ground against Port Adelaide, probably against Fremantle struggled a little bit early on, fought back really well. Yeah, how have you made it this pre-season? So.
Yeah, look, it's been a solid pre-season, and it's like I said, without trying to be too specific or keep going down the path with the Rucks, like we've had a lot of players that have improved over the pre-season, and he's certainly been one of them. Toby Murray's improved. I reckon the improvement of Lockie and Toby has helped improve or get Rob probably hungrier as well. So as we're saying, like competition for spots is, it's pretty hard at the moment with the players that we've had out that have had a few little niggles. They come back in. There's probably 3 or 4 boys who miss out round 1 that have had really good pre-seasons.
How excited are you about what Luke Pedler might be able to do? Because it seems like we've been waiting and waiting. It can be a good run with his body and so far.
Yeah, well, he's had his OP when he first come here, then he's had a shoulder reco, then he's had a few other little niggles with other things too. You can see it, can't you? The power that he's got and the explosiveness, and he's hard. But what he does do for a small, he's only 6 foot, but he's got some aerial, but he's also terrific at ground level. And I think when you look at how we complement each other down there, when you look at the work that Neil Bullen and Keys do, then you've got the X factor of Pedler, and then you've still got Rochelle and Rankin probably coming through there at times as well. It's a pretty good small forward line.
He's also a T20 winning captain. How's the mood around
around
the club today?
I think there's just a sigh of relief that we got through. It was good. I mean, there's probably only about 5 players playing actually last night. They're all a couple of coaches and past players, but no, it's good for them. There's some players. It has really helped with their connection with their teammates.
Because you obviously played in it as well. But in terms of like coaches, how much do you kind of weigh it up? Like, because you could, risk of injury, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's discussions a fair bit about that.
I was just can I just ask a football question? You mentioned Rash and Rankin. As a forwards coach, what's the sort of ideal split for you, do you think? Because I imagine you probably want at least one of them in that 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's probably game dependent too. Like sometimes whatever we go in with might change. There might be someone hot up the forward line, or someone's having a real impact in the midfield. Look, there's no doubt we want to add that bit of X factor through the midfield as well. And they're both, when they're both up and going, they certainly do that. So we're not locked in to percentages, but we just want more numbers going through the midfield, and we know at times they're both going to be forward.
But just on that, Rochelle spent a lot of time in midfield today. Do you see that going forward as well?
Well, yeah, he's had a really good pre-season there. Yeah, so we're really happy with the work that he's done. But we know he's a pretty special player when he's up and about up forward as well, especially when he's isolated and he's deep. He causes a few headaches with the opposition.